Okay, but it was at the
3.5 years ago. You're asking me where I sat at a kitchen table? My God, man.
There would be a conviction, but her body has never been found. Hello, true crimerers. This is the case of Victoria Prokopovitz. Viewer discretion is advised. Victoria Prokopovitz was born on September 10th, 1953, and at the time of this case, she is living in Pittsfield, Wisconsin. Victoria was a mom, first and foremost. Her children, who were adults at the time this case occurred, absolutely adored her, and her kids to her meant the entire world. Her kids would say that she had the most loving eyes, she had the biggest smile, and she had one of the most contagious laughs you'd ever hear. Victoria showed her kids every time she was with them how much she loved them by giving them the biggest hugs a person could give. Her family would reminisce about how she was all about bringing family together. She loved holidays like Thanksgiving. She loved to cook up a big spread. And then afterwards, she would love to spend all night talking with her family. Her kids would say that she was not just their mom, she was their friend. She had always tried her best to give her kids the best possible life. And in the end, she did that. She always gave it all. She gave it 100% to her kids. Victoria, at the time of this case, was also married. She was married to James Prokopovitz. The two of them lived in a home on the 5100 block of Kunesh Road, which was in Pittsfield, Wisconsin. On April 25th, 2013, James Prokopovitz would state that he last saw his wife at about 10 p.m. when they went to bed. When he woke up around 4 o'clock in the morning, now on April 26th, Victoria was not in the bed. He claims that he got up, he walked around the house looking for her, called out for her name. She wouldn't respond. He couldn't find her anywhere in the house. She was gone. In the house, she left her purse, her keys, her wallet, everything. She left her cell phone. Now, Victoria didn't drive. She hadn't driven for several years, so she didn't really have any car keys. She just had keys to the home. But again, those were left behind. And she also didn't have any credit cards in her name. Now, James, after seeing all of this left behind at the house and also seeing that Victoria wasn't there, he just went to work. He went about his normal day. Then he got home later that afternoon. Victoria still wasn't there, and that's when he decided to report his wife missing. James didn't even call Victoria's children to say that their mom is missing. It was the police who would have to notify them that that's what was going on. So at that point, a very extensive search is done for her. Police now are involved. They had volunteers. They're searching the grounds. They search all around, within miles, and they don't find any sign of her. No traces of Victoria ever. Now, James would talk to police on several occasions. At one point, he spoke to them in his home, and he also kind of took them on the path that he drove around, that he claimed he drove around, to go looking for Victoria before he reported her missing. Like he took them to, he said he passed by a gas station to go look for her and all of this. This is a clip I'm going to show you from a true crime, the Law and Crime Network, a snippet of some clips of police interacting with James.
So I want you to tell me where you were seated when you guys got there. Do you remember? No.
Okay, but it was at the
3.5 years ago. You're asking me where I sat at a kitchen table? My God, man. I'm 71. I hope the hell I have a heart attack and die. I'm tired of worrying. I wish you guys would find her, deceased or alive. I don't care. And if she comes back alive, good. Then everybody will look foolish. And all you're doing is waiting for me to say something a little bit different. Then you say, oh, he's lying to us. Now we got him going. And
do exactly what you did.
And I walked over here, I said, honey!
Okay.
She didn't answer.
Okay, then go
ahead. Then I went here, went down in the basement.
Go ahead.
Thought she was down here. Down the steps. Honey!
Okay. Do you remember why it is that you felt the importance to look in every spot?
Because she tried to kill herself down here in the basement once. That's why.
Okay.
And I might have missed the road out here.
And that's perfectly understandable.
Jesus Christ, you're asking me stuff 3.5 years ago. What roads did I go to? I'm sorry, Roman, I just don't remember.
But it was about...
So as you can really tell from the clip, most of these clips came about 3 or so years after Victoria was missing. Those are the recorded conversations that they had with him. And as you can tell, he was very demonstrative. He was very angry. He lashed out at police, screaming at them, I don't know what I did 3.5 years ago. You know, like, clearly he was pissed. But during some of these interactions, he told police that he thinks Victoria ended her own life, that she did this to herself, whatever it may have been. He took police down to the basement, and he stated that she had tried to end her life in the basement once before. However, the last time that she had ever made any kind of attempts on her life was about a decade prior to when she went missing. She had improved drastically. Her mental state had gotten so much better. By 2015, police had the warrants they needed to do a more thorough search of all of the property, including the house and the other buildings that were on this pretty large property. They seized photos, they seized computer data, they took James's cell phone, they took documents and everything from the home. During this search, they found in a couple different locations in the home very small drops of dried blood. This included like on the hallway wall, in the bedroom, and one or two other locations in the house. And I believe that blood came back to matching Victoria's. Something that also rose the suspicion of police immediately was that within days of Victoria being reported missing, James starts seeing another woman, a woman named Catherine Friday. By May of 2019, both James and Catherine are a part of a John Doe hearing, which I guess is a court hearing to determine whether or not an actual crime had been committed or not. And so both James and Catherine had to testify at that hearing. And apparently at this hearing is when it came out that James and Catherine had not just recently gotten into a relationship days after Victoria went missing. They had been in a relationship for quite some time while Victoria was still there. He says they lied to police about that because he didn't want to make them look bad for getting into a relationship after his wife went missing. They also determined that James lied to police about the path he took to go search for Victoria the day she went missing, because he told them, he even took them physically in a car past the gas station that he said he went through. Now, they checked CCTV footage. When they did this, they can confirm that they see their vehicle passing by this gas station. So they went back to the time in question to see if to see if James's car had passed through that gas station. It never did, not once. They bring James in for questioning, and they ask him some questions, and once again, he is kind of belligerent with them, and then this is another snippet of some of his interview.
Jim, why are you so certain that she's not coming back?
I just had that gut feeling, Roman. I don't know. She said if she was going to do it again, she was going to do it where nobody would find her. That's the words that came out of her mouth. Guys, she'd been gone before for 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes, and she'd come home again. If you would have lived with this damn woman for 20-some years, you'd know what I'm trying to tell you.
She may have hurt herself. Is it possible that under those circumstances you and me have helped her?
No. That's it. I want an attorney. I'm done. You're accusing me of something now. No, that's it. I want a lawyer.
The door's open, Jim.
I want a lawyer. I swear to God, I had nothing to do with my wife's disappearance.
Victoria's social security number has never been used. Her bank account has never been used. There have been 0 signs, even false signs of her being out and about. No false reports, nothing. Nobody has seen Victoria ever since. Where James worked, I guess behind where he worked were these sludge ponds that apparently they're dangerous. He said one time, James actually said he saw a deer go into those sludge ponds and died this horrific death. And police asked him, like, hey, if you were to, say, put Victoria in these sludge ponds, what do you think would have happened to her? And he responds with, well, you certainly wouldn't find any of her. I'm not sure what a sludge pond does to a body, but police have stated it's very dangerous to go into a sludge pond to search. And so they can't physically search those ponds. But it did kind of raise some red flags that James knew what can occur to a person if they enter those ponds. And he was like, yeah, if she was in there, you wouldn't find her. Which means he had the knowledge to dispose of a body in those ponds. In 2019, James Prokopovitz was charged with first-degree intentional homicide. He was also charged with domestic abuse, with perjury, and resisting arrest and obstructing a criminal investigation. His girlfriend, Catherine, was also charged with perjury and obstruction charges. After all this occurs, James basically tells police in an interview, I did it, I killed her, but Catherine had nothing to do with it. He says, I don't know how I killed her. I don't remember how I killed her, but I did it, so don't put any blame on Catherine. But then soon afterwards, he denies killing Victoria. He goes back and forth. In July of 2020, Catherine Friday pleads guilty, or no contest, to perjury and conspiracy to commit perjury, and also she pled guilty to obstruction. In November of 2020, before Catherine could be sentenced, she ended her own life in her jail cell. She was 68 years old, which means she could not testify against James at any trial. James's trial started in February of 2021, and it would last about 2 or so weeks. At that trial, there would be 2 separate inmates from 2 different, jail cells that James shared with these 2 men about how he acknowledged his involvement in Victoria's murder. James told one of these guys that nobody will be able to identify Victoria even if they find her remains because her teeth have all been removed, and that there would be no blood with the body, basically indicating that she was probably skeletonized. One of Victoria's kids would testify that Victoria and James got into a very loud argument over a tablecloth on the day that Victoria would have disappeared. And arguments were pretty common between the 2 of them. Was there any physical evidence, however, to suggest that Victoria was dead? No. There was no body. There was not enough blood at the house, because it was like drops of blood, to indicate she was dead. There was no physical evidence connecting James to any involvement with whatever may have happened to her. The evidence against him was incredibly circumstantial, to be fair. But James's demeanor during all of these interviews, how loud and upset he got, how aggressive he was, the fact that they had multiple people state that James talked about how Victoria was dead and they wouldn't find her, and kind of the fact that his girlfriend ended up taking her own life before she could be sentenced and not testify at this trial, that also spoke volumes too. There was motive for James. They were not in a happy relationship anymore. I don't know if he would have benefited financially or not. I'm not sure if he had a life insurance policy on her, but there's also a chance that Victoria found out that he was having an affair. This may have caused more arguments, which led to him doing something to her. What that is, though, they don't really know for sure. They do, however, believe that she was killed. But did they have enough to prove that James did it? Well, the jury believed that there was enough circumstantial evidence, and they found him guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. Also, he was found guilty of 2 charges of perjury. On May 26, 2021, James Prokopovitz was sentenced to life in prison without parole. This was an elderly man. Even if he was only sentenced to 15, 20 years, it would have essentially been close to the rest of his life anyway. One of Victoria's daughters, Marcia, she founded the Wisconsin's Missing Persons Advocacy Incorporated, and that's meant to assist people who have missing loved ones. Victoria Prokopovitz, this loving mother, she was 59 years old when she disappeared, and even though a conviction has occurred, the man who may have killed her is in prison for the rest of his life. There's still no Victoria. Her kids, her family, still hasn't been able to lay her to rest. There's always that's going to always be kind of haunting them. James has refused to say where she is, where he put her. The judge told him at the sentencing trial, quote, "I'm hoping after a while in prison, maybe someday you will decide to give the answers to the children and let them know where Victoria is. In prison, maybe you can think about that," end quote. But he hasn't. He has still not said anything about where she is. There is a very good chance that he would put her into those sludge ponds and that she is just gone. But maybe somebody somewhere out there knows something else. Maybe somebody knows where he put her. He's in jail for the rest of his life, in prison. He's not going to be able to hurt you or harm you. And you can still report information anonymously. If you know something but don't want anyone to know who you are, just call the police and report it anonymously. They just need to find her. They want to bring her home to her family if that's possible. So if you have any information on the whereabouts of Victoria Prokopovitz, please call the Brown County Sheriff's Office at 920-448-4200. Victoria got the justice she deserved. But if you know anything, please help Victoria come home to her family. But that is it for this case. True crime, Aruni, Dooney, Dingleberry Dongs. I hope you found it interesting. As usual, hello, my name is Mike. I tell true crime stories here on YouTube, obviously. So if you are into that kind of thing, please subscribe, give this video a like, hit the bell so you're notified when I post videos. I post several times a week. I also tell short form true crime stories over on TikTok. I have no idea if it's going to be around for much longer, but if you want to follow it, just in case, it's linked in the link tree in the description of this video below. You'll also find my case list in that link tree. If there's a case you want me to cover but don't see it on that list, it's alphabetical. Just send me a quick email, also listed below. Send me the name of the case, where it happened, when it happened. I'll add it to my list. The list is large, and I pick my cases each time at random, so I can't promise you when I'll cover that case, but I will get to it eventually, I promise. But at any rate, that is it for this video, True Crime Aroonies. So until the next case, ta-ta, for now.